Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Accountable Podcast, where we make accountability fun because you deserve to achieve your goals and not feel any guilt or shame if you don't cross things off your to-do list. And today we're talking about the 3 levels of accountability that you can use to actually help you achieve your goals. Every single one of these are needed at different times, but the key is to be honest about which level you need so you can actually use it to your advantage and hit your goals. So the 3 levels are, first is personal accountability, the second is peer accountability, and the third is paid accountability. So now I want to talk to you about each one of these levels and when you should use them. Because again, we need all of them. We need all of these levels at different times, and they are all wonderful. So it's not like you can pick one and use it all the time. What we need to do is ask ourselves, what level of accountability do I need anytime you set a new milestone or new big goal? So the first level is personal accountability. Now, this is when you don't need anyone, meaning another human, to know about what you're doing or remind you to take action. This is when you can hold yourself accountable. This is the thing that most people think of when they think of accountability is self-accountability. And so we feel like we've failed if we haven't. But there's 2 other levels. This is just the first one. Now, you can absolutely use tools to help you achieve these things. So, like for me, I do not, under any circumstances, need someone to remind me to check my email. I would perpetually live in my email inbox if I did not set boundaries. I don't need a reminder to do this. Or things like showing up to a meeting. I don't necessarily need someone to come into my office and say, Amanda, you have a meeting at this time. Now, I use my calendar to remind me of these things because I could easily lose track of time. But the calendar is a tool that I use. Same thing with my project management system. I don't necessarily need another person to tell me what to do every day, but what I do is when I work on a project, I then dedicate certain days and certain times for things, and the project management tool tells me what to do every day. I live and breathe by this thing. It's amazing. I love it because it tells me what to do, and I don't have to hold the mental space, have that mental load of trying to remember everything. So I can hold myself accountable to these things. And you can too. There's other things in your life, like your daily routines. Like I probably don't have to remind you to go to the grocery store, but you do it every week, right? Or whatever frequency you do it in. So these are the things that you don't necessarily need a reminder for from another person, but you can use the tools. The next level is peer accountability. Now, this is when you're stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit. Right? You're a little bit out of your routine. You're a little bit out of the norm for you. And so extra support would be really, really helpful. This is when people typically talk about having an accountability buddy. This is peer accountability. So you've got holding yourself accountable is personal. Then when you go into the realm of having an accountability buddy, it is a peer. That is a person that you tell and say, hey, I want to learn how to cook sourdough bread. And so you've told someone that you're going to do it. And you say, actually, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this over the next 6 months, perfect it. And then in 6 months, I'm going to deliver it to your door and I'm going to bring it to you. And so you've engaged someone else in this dance of accountability with you. And you're telling them, and we do this naturally, but you're telling them because it helps you have some sort of accountability, even though that person may not necessarily be like, hey, are you cooking sourdough bread? Hey, are you doing this thing? They may not do that, but you telling them is you're saying, I need a little bit more support. So I'm going to tell someone else that I'm going to do it. And I'm putting it out there. But in this instance, I would say be very selective with who you share it with, because you want someone who's going to encourage you to continue to go and do the thing that you're trying to do. But also, if you have an accountability buddy and you're both doing something together, this is when accountability buddies really work well, is when you're both trying to do something similar. Let's say you and your biz bestie are trying to grow your business at the same time, even though it's 2 separate businesses. So you could do this together. Or you and accountability buddy or your friend want to run a marathon. And so you say, let's run together. And so you work on this together because you're going for the similar goal. The key to an accountability buddy or an effective accountability buddy is the same level of commitment. So let's say one person wants to grow their business a lot and they're super pumped about it and they're on the train and they've got the ability, they've got the opportunity, they've got all the things that they need. They've got the time. Other person wants to do it but can't do it right now. That's a different level of commitment, as you can imagine. And so that's not going to really work very well. So you have to be really careful with that, with strategically finding an accountability buddy, because the commitment level is very important when you're trying to do something at the same time. So then it takes us to paid accountability. And this is when you're stretching yourself, it's something, it feels like a big thing for you. You're really out of your comfort zone, or sometimes this is when you want to achieve something faster. So if you are like, I want to hit the fast forward button, paid accountability is the way to go. Because you're going to see progress because you've paid someone else to help you in that specific season for that specific goal. And that person is hopefully an expert in their field, or at least knows more than you. And so you're borrowing their expertise. You're paying for their expertise, not just their time, but all the time that they use to learn that thing. Like when someone works with me, they get all the knowledge I have about goal setting and goal achievement on a fast forward button, right? I've done the research. You don't have to do it. I saved you hours and hours, hundreds of hours of searching online, and I've got it and can insert it within a minute, right? Because it's so everyday for me. Same thing if you want to start your podcast and you're like, it's going to be a big thing. Well, I have the perfect person to tell you about, because she is the person that I recommend everyone go to when you start a podcast, because she's done the research. She's done this so many times. You can borrow her expertise and get the thing done by paying for the accountability. So here's a caveat here though. When you bring in a coach, when you hire a coach, or you maybe bring in a consultant or someone to do it, like if you want to organize your pantry and you've been walking by the dang thing for 6 months saying that you were going to do it, that's another reason to have paid accountability when you're like, I admittedly have just not done this. And it's something I want to get done, but I haven't done it. Well, admit it to yourself. Okay, it's time to bring someone in. So you hire a professional organizer to come organize your pantry, right? You bring someone in. And that's one of the ways you could do this. Or hiring a coach, or joining a live program or a mastermind, that sort of thing. Please hear me when I say loud and clear. The caveat to this, and I need you to hear this because too many people fall into this trap. Accountability, paid accountability, is not a DIY course. If you think that you, yourself in the moment, that has not taken action on something, are going to buy a course, I don't care how much it costs, $1 or $2,000, and then you're going to take action on your own, that's telling yourself a lie. That's not what you need. Because if you could have done it that way, you would have done it already. Now, if you need paid accountability, you need live interactions with someone, and ideally, you need weekly check-ins. So if you work with someone who is going to hold you accountable to doing something, weekly check-ins is by far the best and most effective way. There are other options. I'm not saying everyone has to do it the same way, but weekly check-ins at least are really important. People pay me to do this all the time. This is why I have a job, because I am really good at helping people say, okay, I want to do this thing. And I ask them, why is it important to them? I always know why a goal is important to someone, and you need to know this about yourself. And then they've already self-identified that they need paid accountability. So then it's okay. I'm going to do everything I can to get them across the finish line with this goal, which I love doing. And the reason that it's really combined my skills together is because, number one, I'm really great at tracking things. And I'll teach you how to track the thing when we work together. It's not hard. It's a very simple thing, but it's hard to implement in your life when it's not your routine. But if you're paying me, you will do it. That is the answer. So if you pay me to do it, I will help you do this, or any other coach that you work with. You don't have to work with me. But basically, you hire me or someone to help you with accountability and get you across the finish line. And this can be for finishing your book. It can be growing your business, starting a podcast, finishing courses. I've actually had people say, Amanda, I have bought 3 courses this year. This is why I know DIY courses don't work for us that need paid accountability. And they've said, I bought 3 courses and I have not actually gone through anything. And I've spent all this money. So we create a plan and they go through the courses and they do it. And they get to implement the things that they learn. So it's not only learning, it's actually implementing the things that they learn in the course. I love helping people do that because I'm not the subject matter expert on all these things, but they bought the course. Fantastic. Now I help you week by week in navigating through that. The cool part is that you can then graduate, and you can do this on your own too, out of paid accountability. You don't always need it. You can come back to it whenever you need it. I've had clients do one thing, like start the podcast or whatever it is, and then they go off for a year or so, and then they come back and say, Amanda, I need to work with you again. I'm doing this other thing. I'd like some help. You don't always need one thing. So for me, that looked like my podcast. So when I first started my first podcast, not this one, but the first one, I needed peer accountability. I was nervous as all get out when I started my first podcast. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know the process. I didn't know anything. Now, creating a podcast episode, this is now my second podcast, and it is a routine. It is so easy for me to understand the process of it. I'm not saying every episode is easy, but the process of it is so second nature to me now because I've done so many. My first podcast had 264 episodes and this one is brand new, but it's so simple once you get into it. And so I started with peer accountability and then graduated to personal. Now I can hold myself accountable with that. Now there's other things in my life and in my business I need paid accountability for when things are really hard for me to navigate. And then there's always a next level. And so the chances are you'll probably want some sort of peer or paid accountability almost at all times. I always have peer because I have my biz besties, and personal is always in there too, but things can graduate in and out of different levels. So now you have to ask yourself, and this is the accountable action for today. What I want you to ask yourself is based on the big goal or your 90-day milestone, whichever one you're looking at right now, I want you to ask yourself, what level of accountability do I need to ensure that I continue to take action even when it gets tough? And I want you to be honest about it. Be honest with yourself because you want to set yourself up for success here. You want to say, I got this. I'm going to do this. Even when it's hard, I got it. We're good. I'm just going to put reminders on my calendar or use my project management tool. Great. Or, you know what? I actually need an accountability buddy. I know so-and-so is thinking about doing this other thing. And so maybe we can partner and really help each other. I'm going to reach out to her today. Great. I want you to do that today. Or you say, you know what? I have been struggling with this thing for 2 years. Haven't done it. I should probably have paid accountability, or I need to let that goal go. So decide one or the other. If you don't actually want to do it, please let it go. Goals can change. And then decide on a new one and ask yourself what level of accountability that you need. But if you recognize that you need paid, then do the thing. Find the program. Find the mastermind. Find the coach. Find what you need. Find the therapist or the pantry organizer, whatever it is that you need to actually follow through with this. Find the person. And if I seem like a great coach for you, I would absolutely love to hear more about you. So you can go to amandamckinney.com/work with me and see all my current options. So I want you to decide on your 90-day milestone or your big goal, whatever it is, and then ask yourself what level of accountability you need to actually stay committed and stay focused on that goal. And remember, my friend, I believe in you even in the moments that you don't believe in yourself. I want you to keep going because you deserve to hit the goal that's on your heart right now. And until next time, keep being accountable.